Well, hello everybody, my name is Cameron Phillips. Welcome back to the Phenomenal channel. Today I'm going to continue my Italy series and tell you about some really weird things that Italians do. And I'm talking like real weird. Like, being someone who grew up in a very North American culture, Canada and the US, I was growing up kind of in both. A lot of these things were very kind of alarming to me when I lived in Italy. And I feel like if you maybe visited Italy, you would see these things and be like, okay, this is like not normal, but some of it's just like downright weird. And honestly, no shame, no judgment to the Italians. This is not like an attack. If you're Italian, like, don't think I'm coming at you. This is just me saying, like, these are the notable differences between my culture and yours. So with that being said, coffee is a very different culture in Italy. It's not like, in the US, it's like you go to a coffee shop and you can sit down and like have your latte over a while and like do your homework, or like meet up with a friend. In Italy, in the mornings, the typical traditional practice is you go up to a bar and take a shot of espresso. It's a quick thing. Even cappuccinos are done very quick. A lot of times it's a standing thing because there's no service fees involved. So you basically go up to a lot of these, it's called a bar. Literally the word is bar. And you stand there and you take your shot. This is not everywhere, but this is like the primary principle of coffee taking, to take a coffee, as they say. I would say to have a coffee, they say to take a coffee. In English, take means like take to go, or like physically take it. But like, you know what I mean, like pick it up and remove it, versus taking it in the Italian sense is like ingesting it. Like taking a pill, right? Okay. So that's weird because that's not the culture that we have here at all. It's very slow here, which is ironic because the next point, food. Food in Italy is very slow. If you go out to a lunch and you're gonna have a full thing, you're gonna have antipasto, the primi, which is like a pasta, and then a secondi, which is like meats, fishes, like those kind of things. And then you can have a dolce, a dessert. And then sometimes there's after dinner cocktails, an after dinner shot of espresso, a digestivo to like digest the food. Like, it's a long process, and then at the end of that, no one will bring you your check. You'll never get your check, ever. You'll literally be sitting there like, oh my god, like, are they ever gonna bring it? Like, and then it's to the point where you actually like need to leave and you're like flagging them down, and then eventually they'll come over and bring you your check. Versus in America, it's a lot more like they might be trying to turn the tables. They're gonna give you your check because they want to sell that seat again and make more money off of that table. The total opposite, because for us, our coffee culture is much slower, but our food culture is much faster. So that was a very like interesting thing, and just how long it takes to get the check. Like, oh my god, so long. This is something that's kind of weird for like the English crowd in Italy. People refer to people as just like bello, bella, belli, sono belli, like y'all are beautiful, you know? Or like if you do something good, they'll say like, oh, bello, you know? But it means beautiful. In North America, if you say beautiful to someone, it has a much deeper meaning. Like, someone who I've met like once, I'm not just gonna be like, if you look at somebody like, you're beautiful, it has a different kind of deepness to it. So like the amount they just throw around beautiful, like bello, 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 bella, bella, it's like everywhere. It's like, it's just much more like common and casual than it is in the US. Like very, very much so. Okay, another thing on the food note. Waiters will be rude to you and tell you no if you order like a food item that isn't really like a traditional thing to do, or is like just very out of place and like bizarre. Examples are, if you sat down to lunch and you said, I'll have a cappuccino and you know, like a pasta or whatever, they'd be like, I've had people say to me like, no, like, you'll have the coffee afterwards. They're like, trust me, you'll have it afterwards, like, you're not gonna have it now. And I'm like, okay. Versus in the US, if you order something, you're gonna get it. They're not gonna contest you, but in Italy, they'll contest you. Another thing is olive oil. Some chefs and restaurants are very particular about how much olive oil they put on something. And so us Americans think you go to an Italian restaurant and sit down and you get your olive oil and your balsamic vinegar to dip things in. First of all, balsamic vinegar is one of the biggest things that is different than what Americans expect of Italy. People don't dip bread in balsamic vinegar. There is no balsamic vinegar on caprese. That's not a thing. And like, it drives me nuts because I agree with the Italians. Like, I don't think it has a place on any of those things, but the Americans just love it. So like, that's a weird thing they do. They like, I have asked for more olive oil at one point and they're like, no, it's already on it. Like, a waiter will say that to me and I was like, okay, that's just like a weird thing that their culture is. Like, the customer is not always right by any means. There's this incredible physicality of language and the physicality of like how people talk to each other. I'm like expressive, you know, I use my hands, I'm like up in your face, blah, blah, but they're like, and I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to Bali, blah, blah, blah. It's like very like, you know, it's like, this is very exaggerated. This is kind of like a stereotype thing, but it's very true. It's like almost like, can you believe that? Can you believe that he did that? Like, what was that? Why would he do that? It's like, it's very physical and not just the traditional like those things. And there are like actual gestures. If someone says like, oh, I don't know, I would just be like, I don't know. They'd be like, it's much more exaggerated. So that could be like a very like a weird thing Italians do if you were like not used to that culture at all. And with that comes like this sense of drama about things. Like things that really aren't that big of a deal sometimes will be like, oh meu Dios, like so just like dramatic. And like I'm dramatic, Americans are dramatic, very dramatic, but like the sense of like loudness, and people will be like loud and be like kiss skifo, like screaming about things, and you're just like, oh my god, like it is fine, you know? And like I'm expressive and loud, but it's still like, oh, it's like a lot. And the last thing we talk about in this video is the PDA. Woo! Okay, I don't personally have a problem with PDA. I have a lot of friends who are like, oh no, I cannot stand PDA. And PDA is like public display of affection. It's basically like you will see people making out in the street. You'll see people making out in the subway, on the train. Like there's seriously no shame at all about any of it. People will just make out wherever. And I don't have a problem with it, but it can be taken as very weird if you first got to this culture and it's a country and you're like, oh my god. So those are some things that I found living in Italy and that I've heard from other people of just being like very like big kind of culture differences between North America and Italy. So a lot of people might find those really like weird things about Italy, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. If there's any that you wouldn't find weird, if there's any that you'd be like, oh my god, that is way too much. Make sure to subscribe to Phenomenal for tons more phenomenal content. All the links will be down below, as well as my daily travel and adventure films, which are on my main channel. Link is down below. I love you guys so much. Stay phenomenal. I'll see you soon.